You know me, always leaving shit out, man. I forgot to leave out about preachers and stuff. We had two in our family. It was a husband and a wife. My dad got two sisters. I just call them Sister Bradshaw and Elder Bradshaw. I call them Bradshaw because Sister Bradshaw, the younger one, had shingles like Terry Bradshaw. So I just call the other one Elder Bradshaw because you know how in church they got the elders? There you go. Well, Elder Bradshaw and Sister Bradshaw looks like LaWanda Page from Sanford and Son. Fish-eyed fool, watch it sucker, look just like him. Good-looking woman. So you got Elder Bradshaw and Sister Bradshaw. Elder Bradshaw was a traveling preacher. After her husband, I'll talk about him later at the end. He was a preacher too. I talked about Elder Bradshaw before. She was a traveling preacher, which means that traveling preachers that don't have a church are the biggest hustlers in the world. Okay, they're obviously not. Their message isn't touching very many hearts because they don't have a church. What's funny is my mom went to see her preach one time. She down in Texas. They moved from Delaware to Texas. And they're the ones who brought my father up here from Florida to Delaware for opportunity. He worked in the Sears warehouse, but I'm getting off topic. Okay, so she becomes a preacher, traveling preacher, and I told this story before, and she would lie and say, you know, this is how she would start her sermons off. Things are so expensive. My flight ticket was X amount of dollars, and she drove to where she was going, and then when she did a retreat up in Philly, my hotel was this amount of money, but she stayed with a family friend of ours, so she's full of shit. Well, actually, she was doing missionary work down in Haiti and Kenya, and she was building churches, and I had the opportunity to go, but I didn't have the resources to go. Well, that's the thing, man. When you get around to doing stuff, things always happen. What happened was God punished her. She had a stroke, and now she's an invalid now. I haven't seen her since. Oh, yeah, I did one time. So she's in a wheelchair and everything, so she's messed up. And I'm not pissed off that she's in that condition because it's the wrath of the Most High on her. But I am kind of pissed off that it's going to be harder for me because I remember I said I wanted to go to Kenya to safari, that it was starting to become, it wasn't a reality when she was doing it because I didn't have the money for that type shit. Now I do, and she's not here, or she's here, but she's not in a position to be doing nothing like that. So that's her. But, you know, she was preceded by her husband, he had a big congregation. I remember my aunt said that they came down to Florida. My grandmother, my father's mother was still alive. And she said when they came down for a revival, he preached and he bought 5 different robes. You know, those preacher robes, 5 different ones. So my aunt was like, he's getting money that he shouldn't be getting. But anyway, he did 2 things. First thing he did was run off with somebody from his congregation and left. And this was the Christmas of 88, because it was my 9th grade year in school. I remember I was on the wrestling team. I remember what I got for Christmas that year. I got this varsity polo jacket that was green and maroon. It sounds like it doesn't match, but it was a sharp coat. And I remember she gave me, because it was found out what he did. He hadn't left her yet, but they were having an affair. And she gave me and my dad all his Christmas presents. Because I remember she gave me a pair of British Knights. Remember them? Sneakers. And, yeah. So, because she was pissed at him. And he eventually left and wasn't going to come back, but he did come back. So, this is 88, 89. And, you know, it was swept under the rug. Nobody ever talked about it. Then 93. It comes out that he was having an affair with somebody in his church, but except this time it was a 12-year-old girl. Yeah, you heard me right, 12-year-old girl. And when the shit hit the papers, I remember it said in the article the family was vacationing down in Florida. And it wasn't a vacation because my grandfather down there and a cousin of mine, a second cousin, got into a car accident and they almost died. So the Bradshaws and my family went too, my immediate family. My mother, my father, and my sister went. I didn't go because it was 93. And I don't know if you probably don't chronicle everything I tell you, but that was the year that I worked at that summer camp at the YMCA, and I was voted most attractive. So that was a fun summer. I wasn't thinking about going down there with them niggas. Plus, it may sound whack, it may not sound cool, but I was like, you know what? I can smoke in the house when they're gone. And I was the first, and I smoked in the house, and they never found out about it. And plus, I had some people over from the camp, so I wasn't thinking about going down there with them. I didn't want to go. But yeah, that's what happened. And he ended up doing 15 years for that. Like 12. He confessed to the lawyer or to the policeman, thinking that they would give him some counseling, like they said, yo, the police have every right to lie about you to get you to confess so they can lock your ass up. And that's what happened. So, and he eventually, when he was released from prison, he died of dementia. Of course, my family didn't fool with him no more. But when he did die, we went to his funeral. Me, my mother, my mother, my dad. My sister didn't go because it was snowing. My mom told her not to come up. She lived in Baltimore. And yeah, but we were there. And his wife, his daughters, none of them came. But yeah, that whole preacher lifestyle is just not something that I wouldn't want to get involved in, because believe it or not, there are those anomalies out there. I know 2 preachers who are really doing their thing the right way. And the one's having trouble building his church. His sister and his people live next door to me. They want me. He had wanted me to help build the church. But because listen, I'm not leading niggas no more. Fuck niggas, man. No, they don't want to take instruction from a dude that's a clown or lame in their eyes or a square dude. Like, it's like they wouldn't want me giving them advice on how to get a man, because they would assume that the man that they get is going to be like me. I don't want no nigga like him. I ain't listening to him. That's basically what it would be, man. But in all honesty, I really have no interest in leading niggas anymore. No real interest in talking to niggas anymore about anything that's important. That's why I got this channel. So I got to talk to niggas, and they don't got to further piss me off with their blind mentality and how blanketed their thinking is, and really how the critical thinking that they don't have, and the overall stupidity of most black people.